Wednesday, October 30th, 2013.
It's extremely torrential rainfall that has trained across the area and may have brought as much as 15 inches of rain.
KXAN forecasts what would become one of the most powerful flooding events in Central Texas history.
No, it's flooded all the way around.
By nightfall, Austin Fire's 911 center began fielding the first of more than 660 emergency calls over the next day.
It might be a long time before anybody gets there.
Around 10 p.m., crews begin swift water rescues.
We walked out, but barely. It was up to my chest. The dogs swam.
Whatever you have to do
with our dogs.
Leave them. Multiple people might die on that street if you don't get out of that property.
Just the start of a long, hectic night into the morning of October 31st.
We're going to get there as quick as we can. Stay as high as you can.
We're standing in the back of a pickup truck, and we're going to die if somebody doesn't come and get us.
By 3 a.m., believing the rain had eased, managers cut back the number of 911 operators. But the water kept rising. And 911 calls hit their peak soon after that as staffing at the call center was still scaled down. Extra dispatchers eventually arrived hours later at 7 in the morning.
And we spoke to people who say they called 911 and had to wait getting a recorded message.
KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell joins us live from Onion Creek, the area hardest hit. Robert, a lot of people wondering now if the city's call center is actually prepared for an emergency like this.
And that's what we wanted to find out. Remember the toll here. 5 people lost their lives in Austin, Travis County. And while some streets in this area have shown signs of recovery, others like this one are pretty much dead, except for the wind through the trees here. Take a look at this home here, long since abandoned. You may wonder, like we were, did a 911 call come from this house? Well, we listened to scores of 911 calls routed through the Austin Fire Department, handling the majority of water rescues. In the recordings you're about to hear, the operators answering those calls admit they were overwhelmed.
So are you outside now and you're walking?
No, we're inside the house still.
Austin 911, do you need police, fire, or EMS?
Hundreds of calls poured into 911.
We're trying to get a boat down there. If you can walk to safety, I recommend you do that.
Okay.
Quickly overtaking the Austin Fire Department call takers who were on duty at the peak of the flooding.
We're just overwhelmed right now. We're trying to get to everybody, okay?
Adding to their stress, the panic in some callers' voices.
Ma'am, how high is the water in your house?
Oh my God! Oh my God! It's through my front door!
Ma'am? Hello, ma'am?
It's still rising.
Can you swim?
Yes, I can swim. It's to my door. I want to drive. No, I don't want.
Ma'am, you're not going to die.
Fire Department records show between 11 p.m. October 30th through noon the next day, call takers fielded 533 calls from trapped or frightened homeowners. An average October Wednesday overnight, the fire department might get a tenth that.
The fence was already down.
One of those callers was Sophia Loera.
It didn't feel like the water was stopping. It felt like it just kept going up.
She considered herself one of the lucky ones to get through to 911, but it would take several tries dialing.
And how many people are in your house? So I can tell them. 2 people, 2 dogs.
Loera is an Austin police officer, but that morning was just another homeowner desperate for a way out with no idea how high the water would get.
I didn't know when we were going to be helped.
The call taker could only tell Loera, like so many others, to get to higher ground.
So at that point, we decided to go ahead and try to tread through the water.
Many who remained trapped by the water had to wait for help from 911. Call takers transferred at least 250 callers to a recording.
You have reached the Austin Fire Department.
Some listened to that message over and over without getting immediate help.
Please hold for the next available call taker.
For a long minute or two.
Do not hang up.
One caller waited as long as 10 minutes.
Ma'am, I need to get you to the fire department.
Yes?
Stay on the line, please.
To the fire department. You have reached the Austin Fire Department. Do not hang up.
If you really need his help, you'd be dead by now.
John Sabatz, getting no help from Austin, even reached out to other agencies for assistance.
We're on the phone with my stepmother who lives in Georgetown, who was talking to the Williamson County 911 because we couldn't get through to the Austin 911. So we were doing a backdoor relay, and they were telling her to tell us to get out of the top of the roof.
So why were callers getting a recording? AFD records show about 3 a.m. call center managers scaled back extra staff, believing the heaviest rain had ended. By 5:30 a.m. on the 31st, with wide-scale flooding underway, AFD sent out a page for more call takers. It would double staffing to at least 6 by 7 a.m., but that would be a full hour after the call volume had peaked.
Should the need ever arise, AFD's call center has 12 call taker stations. So the morning of the floods, with 6 call takers and 3 dispatchers working, there were a few empty seats. All the while, flooded homeowners had to wait on hold, hoping the floodwaters wouldn't get any higher.
Somebody has got to answer the phone. If you're going into a queue, listening to a recording saying don't hang up, you're not going to be a happy citizen.
Mike Levy with the city's Public Safety Commission says 911 response times are a growing concern in Austin, and not just during a major disaster.
The city has other priorities. Public safety, the human condition, human life is not on that list.
And for 911 callers, whose safety was the priority the morning Onion Creek flooded.
It's already, to our back porch to the top. Like, you can't see the tires on our car or anything.
Waiting on hold and then being told they'd have to wait for rescue.
There's no path around your house that you can walk to a higher ground.
No, it's flooded all the way around.
Was the last thing many wanted to hear.
Okay. Be aware, we have rescues going around all over the city. It's going to be it might be a long time before anybody gets there.
Okay.
Now, we asked 911 call taker Commander Julie O'Brien whether call takers at the 911 call center are taught to stay on the line with callers in crisis situations. She told us, in general circumstances, under a normal day, the short answer is yes.
Well, what about the really busy times like the flood we had last year? What happens to that massive amount of callers being transferred sometimes to, like we saw, a recording?
Right. We saw some of this and heard some of this when we listened to the 911 recordings we got. What's supposed to happen is that callers are supposed to be transferred as soon as possible, of course, to the AFD. But what's happened to the call taker station? The call taker has given safety information to the caller. Get to higher ground was something we heard quite a bit. And then she's also at the same time typing in a message right to AFD, so they'll have an address to go to. It's called computer-aided dispatch. That is what's supposed to happen, Robert and Shannon. But certainly we'll find out when the city's own report comes out in a few weeks whether that protocol was followed. We're live in Onion Creek. Robert Maxwell, KXAN Investigates.
Really important story, Robert. Thanks. Well, when we asked Austin emergency officials about their standard protocol for staying on the line, they declined talking about it, citing security reasons. The city manager's office has also told several others we contacted not to give any interviews until the city's after action report comes out. That's later next month. Tonight on KXAN News at 10 o'clock, we're going to hear from Austin Police as we investigate an ongoing staff shortage at the city's call center.
A natural disaster, weather related, like we've seen here, you're always going to have an incident that can occur that will exceed the capacity of the call center.
And online right now at KXAN.com, our full investigation into the city's emergency response during this disaster. Earlier at 5, we told you about the city's challenges with boat rescues. You can check out that story and also see our interactive timeline of that night by searching for this story on the homepage of KXAN.com. And if you have a story tip you'd like us to investigate, send us an email at investigates@KXAN.com or call our tip line, the number on your screen, 512-703-5255.